The sister of musical icon Prince, Tyka Nelson, has died at the age of 64.
He said was, I've done everything that I've come to do. So I was crushed for about two years.
He was a high thinker and a guy that was always 30 steps ahead of whatever the curve was.
That said, the companies felt otherwise. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist much longer.
His boss name is Clive Davis. Clive run him. Diddy don't run himself.
Katt Williams is back at it, and this time has everyone buzzing after sharing his fears about the death of Tyka Nelson, Prince's sister.
So I knew that it was coming.
What does that mean?
He said it a couple of years ago.
Why? Well, Katt seems to think there might be more to the story, and he's not alone in looking at Jay-Z and Clive Davis with a raised eyebrow.
But somebody laced these counterfeit drugs with fentanyl. Somebody sold them. Somebody bought them. These are questions that even after 2 years, are we any closer to answers? Not really.
Right when the talk of Prince's alleged murder starts heating up, boom, his sister's gone too? According to Katt, that's no coincidence. Is this just another wild theory, or is there something more to Katt's fears? Let's find out. When you peel back the layers of the entertainment industry, it's clear that fame comes at a cost. But for icons like Prince, who spent his life fighting for artistic freedom and railing against the powerful forces in the music business, that cost might have been higher than we ever realized. Enter Tyka Nelson's sudden death, a tragedy that's raising more questions than answers and setting off alarm bells for those who have long believed there's more to Prince's own demise than meets the eye.
The sister of musical icon Prince, Tyka Nelson, has died at the age of 64.
Tyka Nelson recorded 4 albums between 1988 and 2011. She performed sporadically in recent years, including once in 2008 at the Minneapolis club Bunkers and then 10 years later in Australia. She was planning to appear at a farewell concert last June at the Dakota Jazz Club in Minneapolis, but was too ill to attend. The event went on as a tribute to her.
Tyka released 4 albums throughout her career. She spent 11 weeks on Billboard's Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart.
Tyka, along with 5 of Prince's partial siblings, were ruled to be the legal heirs to the considerable Prince estate, though legal wrangling continued for years. 2 years ago, holdings of the estate valued at more than $150 million were split between a group representing some of the half-siblings and another group identified with Primary Wave Publishing. Primary Wave had bought out Tyka Nelson's interests some years earlier. Tyka Nelson was visited by paramedics several times in recent months. She had emergency services come to her home at least 6 times starting in September and up to last Friday, according to emergency call logs cited by TMZ. At least one of those visits, on September 14, resulted in Nelson being rushed to the hospital. The outlet confirmed that all of the calls were made either by Nelson or on her behalf for a range of issues including heart trouble and GI tract bleeding to pain from infection. Though a formal cause of death has not been confirmed, sources told TMZ that Nelson experienced cardiac issues. Nelson's son, President, confirmed her death to the Minnesota Star-Tribune earlier this week. What's even suspicious is that back in June, Nelson told the paper he was working on a memoir and preparing to celebrate her own musical legacy with a farewell concert. Nelson told the Star-Tribune at that time that she was getting older. She ultimately got sick and was unable to take part in the concert. So did she have to see her demise before time because she had some inner knowledge of the industry, maybe some information about her brother's death.
He said was, I've done everything that I've come to do. So I was crushed for about two years.
Katt Williams, never one to tiptoe around touchy subjects, is sounding off with some pretty bold fears. And honestly, he's not alone. Let's connect some dots. Prince had famously clashed with industry giants over owning his masters, calling out the likes of Warner Bros. And even writing the word slave on his face during his feud over contractual control. It's no leap to suggest that Jay-Z, a mogul with his own complicated history in the power dynamics of the music industry, and Clive Davis, an industry legend known for shaping careers and exerting influence, might have seen the legendary artist as a challenge to the status quo. Prince, known for his fierce independence and constant battle with record labels over ownership and control of his music, left a legacy worth millions. It turns out the lawyers were right after all. Some shocking, never-before-seen footage of Prince's M just dropped, and it's pointing fingers straight at Jay-Z and Diddy. Even Katt Williams mentioned this before.
He was helpful in mine in really all different types of ways, especially about the business, as far as being a black man that was rich in this business at 18 years old.
Not everyone knows this, but Katt Williams and Prince were tighter than your average singer-comedian duo. Katt has brought up Prince more than once, including during his chat on Shannon Sharp's club Shay Shay. Williams talked about how he and Prince connected over a lot of stuff, from lyrics to their shared love for cars and, of course, women.
We shared certain things. Our connection was lyrics, musical lyrics, women, and cars.
Clive Davis is a highly influential figure in the music industry, renowned for his immense power and track record of success. He notably launched Arista Records, where he signed numerous major black acts, showcasing his talent for spotting musical potential. His roster of signed artists is impressive and includes Patti Smith, The Outlaws, Eric Carmen, Exposé, Ace of Base, Air Supply, Dionne Warwick, Ray Parker, and Radio, Aretha Franklin, and Alicia Keys. Davis also played a key role in giving Puff Daddy his start in establishing Bad Boy Records. However, his most significant success came from discovering and nurturing Whitney Houston's career.
By spending time with her when the picture was inescapable. There were two times, one live, where she came to my home, where we had a personal.
Astounded by Houston's exceptional singing talent and her wholesome image, Clive recognized the opportunity to launch her into superstardom. This move not only greatly benefited Whitney, but also significantly boosted Clive Davis's net worth, reportedly reaching close to $800 million. However, as Whitney Houston navigated the complexities of the music industry, she, like many others, began to notice peculiar and unsettling occurrences. In her 2002 interview with Diane Sawyer, she openly addressed the challenges she faced and the personal struggles she battled, shedding light on the darker aspects of the industry. Whitney appeared uneasy and cautious at times, revealing that she felt a sense of inner conflict and acknowledged struggles with personal demons.
It was rough. I think I kind of reverted back as I got older and said, well, I'm just gonna party, you know? It was kind of a rebel in me.
During her interview, Whitney Houston discussed her disputes with Clive Davis and suggested a conspiracy against her, inadvertently making herself vulnerable. Exploiting her past struggles with addiction, individuals sought to undermine her credibility and discredit her revelations. And people suggest that he may have the same dome with Prince as well. Prince's revelations about Hollywood took a darker turn when he sadly passed away in an elevator. The circumstances surrounding his death in that elevator were especially eerie, as noted by Dave Chappelle. According to Chappelle, Prince was always up front and expressed his views boldly, making him difficult to control. Looking at it from the outside, it appears that someone hard to rein in was taken out of the picture.
That he paid that kind of attention, and I think about that when I engage people, how these moments are just moments, but they mean so much.
The comedian memorably explained on Friday to Tonight Show host Jimmy Fallon what it's like being featured on the cover of Prince's September 2013 single Breakfast Can't Wait. That's a Prince judo move right there. You make fun of Prince in a sketch and he'll just use you in his album cover, the comedian quipped. What am I going to do? Sue him for using a picture of me dressed up like him? That's checkmate right there. Prince, the legendary artist, passed away at 57, found unresponsive in his Minnesota estate. The official word was an accidental fentanyl overdose from counterfeit Vicodin, laced with a strong synthetic opioid. But let's be real, that explanation left a lot of us with lingering questions that still haven't been answered. With Shannon displaying his fanboy admiration for Prince's unparalleled talents, his mastery of multiple instruments, his mesmerizing performances encompassing singing and dancing, Katt simply nods along, affirming that Prince was indeed in a league of his own. He goes further, hinting at the depth of their bond by suggesting he knew Prince his entire life. Katt spills the beans on their profound connection, sharing glimpses of their discussions on everything from lyrics and music to women and cars. Yes, apparently, Prince's car collection is not just about vehicles. It's intertwined with stories, and Katt Williams is part of that narrative. They were in sync on the essentials: musical genius, appreciation for the ladies, and naturally, a love for those sweet rides. Katt even hints at how they supported each other through various challenges, especially in navigating the harsh realities of the music business.
Because we share certain things. Our connection was lyrics, musical lyrics, women, and cars.
So, when Katt Williams hints that he knows the real story behind Prince's departure, it's not just some random speculation. He's someone who was there, who shared more than a few laughs with the purple one. In a 2022 interview with Arsenio Hall, Katt revealed how Prince inspired him, spending 5 cool years as a rapper before switching to comedy. It all started after a meetup with Prince at the tender age of 12 in Dayton, Ohio, where Prince was performing at the University of Dayton Arena. According to Katt, this encounter marked the beginning of a lifelong connection, with Prince serving as a guiding force. He even credits the legendary singer for boosting his self-esteem, attributing his confident swagger to Prince's influence.
I met Prince when I was 12.
Where did you meet Prince when you were 12?
In Dayton. After
Really?
he performed at UD Arena. Yeah, I mean, I knew him my whole life.
In his trademark style, Katt drops some wisdom about Prince being a high thinker, always steps ahead of the curve. While we all know Prince was a musical genius, playing more instruments than most of us can name, here's the kicker. Katt suggests that Prince also imparted lessons about embracing one's uniqueness.
But he let me know that you could be short and light-skinned with long hair, and people could make fun of you, but as long as women loved you.
Some fans are connecting the dots between Katt's statement about Prince always being 30 steps ahead and the cryptic remarks Prince made before his passing. They're piecing together theories suggesting that maybe Katt knew something Prince did, something sinister. There's speculation swirling around, hinting at potential plots against Prince. You know how Prince was notorious for dropping cryptic lines, and some believe he might have confided in Katt. Let's delve deep into the rabbit hole of theories surrounding Prince's death, because some individuals out there believe the official reports are nothing but a pile of lies. Prince's insights into Hollywood took on a more ominous tone when he tragically passed away in an elevator. The circumstances surrounding his death in an elevator were particularly eerie, especially given Prince's known apprehensions about elevators. As depicted in a video from E.T., Prince's friend L.A. Reid discussed the unsettling discovery of Prince's lifeless body in an elevator. According to Reid, Prince had a strange fear of elevators, which makes his passing in one seem even more suspicious.
One time when I was with him privately, he said, "You know what the elevator is, right?"
No.
I said, "No, what's the elevator?" He said, "Well, the elevator is the devil."
According to E.T., Louisiana, Reid shared Prince's aversion to elevators. Prince believed elevators were sinister, often referring to them as instruments of the devil. This perspective was encapsulated in his 1984 song, Let's Go Crazy. In the song's lyrics, Prince likened elevators to malevolent forces trying to bring a person down. He sang about the struggle to ascend by pressing a higher floor button, symbolizing his defiance against the negative influence he associated with elevators. Reid recounted a conversation he had with Prince about his feelings on elevators. This discussion left Reid uncomfortable as it delved into the topic of the devil, something he was uneasy discussing. The news of Prince's lifeless discovery in an elevator on the first floor of Paisley Park, his residence and studio, deeply perturbed Reid, given the context of their previous conversation. Reid recalled, "One time when I was with him privately, he said, 'You know what the elevator is, right?' I said, 'No, what's the elevator?' He said, 'Well, the elevator is the devil.' It scared me. I don't like to talk like that, but he said that. So for me, it was really haunting when I read that he was found in an elevator." This triggered public speculation, as many believe it might connect to him being outspoken against the industry. Prince undeniably stands as one of the most influential musicians in history, with a remarkable career spanning more than 4 decades. His legendary status in the music industry is underscored by the extraordinary achievement of selling over 100 million records worldwide, a distinction attained by only a select few. Prince's global influence is immeasurable, and although he is primarily celebrated for his music, he also made significant forays into the realm of film. When we think of Prince, we envision a versatile genius, skilled at composing, producing, mastering various musical instruments, and possessing dance moves that rivaled even his backing performers. Elevating Prince to the forefront of our consciousness, we unmistakably associate him with sensuality, evident through his overtly provocative style. His music becomes synonymous with intimate, bedroom-friendly melodies, and we perceive the man, in his own renowned words, as an individual of immense allure and magnetism.
Mainly, I sensed a great deal of negativity and entropy in the music. There's a disintegration.
Amid the undeniable sensuality prevalent in Prince's music and persona, we also uncover another facet that historically clashes with religious beliefs, particularly those of the Catholic Church. The complex interplay between sensuality and religion has been a source of tension, with topics like S often considered taboo in certain religious contexts.
Yes, it's not that we're talking about. He's very spiritual in nature, and that's a God-given gift too.
Despite his undeniable sensuality, Prince maintained an unwavering faith in God. I like to believe my inspiration comes from God. I've always known God as my creator. Without him, nothing works, he once affirmed. Prince's faith may have been deeply rooted in his early life, which was marked by a miraculous event. He was born epileptic, yet miraculously his condition was cured. As a child, Prince reportedly confided in his mother, suggesting that an angel had foretold his healing, though Prince himself has occasionally expressed uncertainty about recalling this specific conversation with his mother.
My mother told me one day I walked into her and said, Mom, I'm not going to be sick anymore. And she said, why? And I said, because an angel told me so.
Prince was initially raised as a Seventh-day Adventist, but later embraced the faith of Jehovah's Witnesses. Both of these religions were sometimes considered to be on the fringes of mainstream Christianity. Nevertheless, Prince's unwavering belief in God remains undeniable, particularly when we delve into the themes present in his music. One particular track where Prince's faith in Christ is evident is the opener of 1984's Purple Rain, which begins with the sermon-like line, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life," accompanied by a funeral procession-esque organ solo. In 1997, Prince disclosed that the track served as a metaphor symbolizing the conflict between Christ and Satan. However, it was presented as a metaphor rather than a direct and overt reference to his faith. This approach was likely due to radio stations' reluctance to promote songs with explicit religious themes. As I wrote it, Let's Go Crazy was about God and the de-elevation of sin, Prince said. But the problem was that religion as a subject is taboo in pop music. People think that the records they release have got to be hip, but what I need to do is to tell the truth. I had to change those words up, but the elevator was Satan. I had to change the words up because you couldn't say God on the radio. And Let's Go Crazy was God to me. It was stay happy, stay focused, and you can beat the elevator. Are we going to let the elevator bring us down? Oh no, let's go. Prince ingeniously navigated the radio censorship restrictions to convey his pastor-like wisdom on the transformative role God can play in our lives when embraced. Notably, the track re-entered the Billboard Hot 100 charts after Prince's untimely death in 2016, surging as high as number 26 just 3 weeks following his passing.
Things like that is kind of like a black hole, and it's hard to audit, it's hard to get accounting, and it's not that it's just about the money.
It would appear that these were just the things they shared on the surface, because Katt also mentioned that Prince was one of the first people in the industry to teach him how to navigate those deadly waters. While he, Katt, has been able to stay thriving through the years, it seems Prince may now have been so lucky. And Williams himself touched on how much the man struggled towards the time of his passing.
He was a high thinker and a guy that was always 30 steps ahead of whatever the curve was.
What makes that statement interesting is that while Prince was alive, he was known for the cryptic messages he always passed, either through his music or during the interviews that led up to his ultimate demise.
It's not like we're against them or anything like that. The idea is that we find better ways of working with one another. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright.
The going theory with the fans is that Katt may have been referring to those cryptic messages, alluding to something dark in the entertainment industry. But the thing about the messages the legendary singer was known to pass was that they were mostly based on how much of a nightmare the music industry has always been. The messy part is that he passed away shortly after deciding to hold the banner of that cause high up. As someone with extensive reach in the entertainment industry, if there's anyone who didn't like what Prince was trying to do in the industry and had the means to stop him, it was probably Clive Davis. See, Prince didn't just randomly pick an interest in exposing the industry. It was birthed out of his experiences with the executives in that industry. Later, as the music world moved online, Prince made sometimes mystifying pronouncements about the internet and policed his music rights so carefully that most of his songs were unavailable not only on jukebox streaming services like Spotify, but also on Pandora and YouTube. His moves were sometimes mocked as mere eccentricity, but he is now seen as an early advocate of the kind of experimentation and artistic control that has become an essential tool of the most forward-thinking pop stars. If you want to see his influence, all you have to do is look at what's happening today, where you have Kanye West releasing an album on different platforms and adding to it as he goes along, or Drake saying, "You know what? I've got a new record, and I'm just gonna drop it," said Jimmy Jam, the producer who was a longtime associate of Prince and a former chairman of the Recording Academy, the organization that presents the Grammy Awards. For Prince, the key was always control. His battles in the early 1990s with Warner Bros., the record company that had signed him at the beginning of his career, were primarily over the label's demands that he release no more than one album a year, a pace that matched the industry's marketing patterns. Fast forward to today. Tyka Nelson, Prince's sister and one of the people closest to the late artist, dies just as talk about Prince's death resurfaces. Coincidence? Maybe. But the timing has conspiracy theorists and insiders buzzing. Some believe Tyka may have been privy to secrets that could have reshaped the narrative around Prince's passing, knowledge that powerful figures wouldn't want made public. And then, as if on cue, she's gone, leaving more questions than answers. Jay-Z's connections in the industry are extensive. He's a business titan who's not just an artist, but a deal maker with his hands in everything from record labels to streaming services. Clive Davis, on the other hand, has been a power broker for decades, with a reputation for being both admired and feared. Both men were rumored, albeit speculatively, to have had a vested interest in controlling Prince's legacy and intellectual property. And reportedly, Katt did not delay in connecting it with Jay-Z. He persistently voiced his apprehensions about an unjust system challenging the established norms. In his unyielding journey, he managed to carve out a distinct place for himself in the industry. Notably, he unveiled a facet that adds to Jay-Z's current authority and sway, a connection with numerology that largely contributes to his pervasive power. According to Kanye, Jay-Z has shown significant interest in the occult and have been linked to human sacrifices in the past. Kanye West's close bond with them was once considered among Hollywood's strongest connections. Their friendship seemed genuine, leading us to believe it would last indefinitely. However, this perception was shattered. Kanye's words were direct. He asserted that not only his mother, but also others had been sacrificed, and yet a veil of silence shrouds this alleged dark group. Those who resist control reportedly experience trauma or disappear. Known for his candid expressions, Kanye remains unafraid to voice his thoughts, whether they pertain to anti-Semitism or uncovering instances of human sacrifices. It appears increasingly clear that Prince was not overly preoccupied with the workings of the physical world or what would transpire after his transcendence. Perhaps he had a deep-seated confidence that his legacy was firmly established through his life's accomplishments, and he was content to leave the unfolding of events to fate as he embarked on his journey to the great beyond. One person wrote, "He was M.ed by the elite. As soon as he died, all his music became available to watch on YouTube. When he was alive, it was blocked. I remember always trying to YouTube his songs, but couldn't when he died. Bang, you could." Another one added, "I believe Prince was preparing himself and us for his death. I love you and miss you, Prince, R.I.P." So what could Tyka have known that put her in the crosshairs? Some theories suggest she might have been gearing up to reveal information that would reopen the case of her brother's death. Maybe she knew something about the mysterious circumstances surrounding Prince's final days. From the sudden changes in his health to the odd occurrences that friends and fans have been whispering about ever since. Add in the rumored involvement of industry giants, and you have the kind of story that makes Hollywood thrillers look tame. That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye!